why don't we do this? You know, it's Monday afternoon. We always do this. Why don't we move into trash that makes cash and hear about a couple of your trading ideas that you got for this week's segment?
You know, I'm a big fan of doing what works and going where stability is and what's hot, what's not. I mean, and at the start of the year, so many of the cheap stocks. In fact, I shared this stat with pro members several times. The best performing stocks in like December and January were stocks under $2. The next best stocks under $5. The next best, well, that's shifted, right? Now, I don't take time to how do I phrase this? I think everything has its cycle. Everything has its turn. But I'm not going to blindly go after an area of the market where I'm like, it's out of favor right now. I'm going to wait for technicals to form. And I think there are certain stocks under $5 that I think will be amazing opportunities. But I still think there are great opportunities in commodity stocks under $5 if you're looking at those. I like the stability in the commodity space as a whole. Give me a look at natural gas. It's been a long time since we looked at natural gas on the chart. You have breakout characteristics from a short-term perspective, breaking out resistance. And I've been talking about this on the commodity report about the reversal pattern forming on natural gas in the short term, coming in at a short-term support level, forming a classic reversal pattern. And I like that. And so the pick I have, go to CRK.
CRK, so Comstock Resources, okay?
No, talk about a year-long consolidation pattern. I love these things. What I love, and so we've had stocks that are cheaper, small cap, some of the cheaper stocks, they've been getting punished the last several weeks, getting punished. And I like the divergence. Now, Comstock Resource is a natural gas producer. They do a little bit of oil, if I remember right. But as you can see from the chart, that looks very natural gassy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is that when you get a divergence in the price of an individual stock and the price of the commodity itself. For example, if oil goes to $70, but energy stocks are going down, I'm going to get really excited for the reversal in energy stocks themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because while sometimes there's correlation, sometimes just market mood and sentiment is really, really funny. And so when I get a little bit of divergence of an individual stock going one direction in the short term, and if I understand why, cheaper stocks have been getting beat up lately. So I understand the why it's getting beat up. And I have the underlying commodity showing potential strength. I like that situation a lot, whether it is a $4 stock or whether it is a $400 stock. I like it when there is that divergence, if it makes sense to me, and it makes sense. Cheaper stocks have been getting beat up, you have a little bit of downward pressure here, but you got natural gas showing nice reversal pattern off a potential support level. So I like the divergence. The other thing I like about CRK is, you've already drawn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a support level that's been tested over 5 or 6 different months.
Couple years, actually. This goes back to 2018 right here.
So you have a support level that anybody doing technical analysis 101 for the first time could be like, yeah, that's support. So right now, there's not a setup today,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the development here of what is occurring. I understand downward price pressure makes sense. Cheap stocks been getting beat up, so the downward pressure makes sense. I got a divergence in natural gas itself. I got a support level for the ages that I can help manage off of. And so while there is not a setup today on CRK, it is one of those, oh my gosh, when I was like looking for trash picks this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I like where this might be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. For example, let's say the market just sells off and everything gets bloody.
Mm-hmm.
But natural gas is doing its thing. Oh my gosh, give me a blind bet at support in that case. I could also see support forming at a higher level like it did back in January, where you didn't quite get down to that support level, but it hung out for a couple weeks, right? And so you had a little support level forming right above the major support level. And then you had a nice short-term trade. Definitely on my radar. It's one of the opportunities in trash that I've really liked a lot for the first time is in the development of it. And so CRK definitely on my radar. What do you think there, Tim?
Well, I do like the tie into the commodity analysis. This is something that you're relying on one of your strengths here. You think through the business model, the underlying causality as to why something might behave or perform. CRK has been drugged down with many of the stocks under $5. So many of these companies, Mark, that are down here, they literally are just trash charts right now. I did my scanning, today to try
Oh,
to
it's
find a
been a
pivot.
relentless assault on the area. But when I see a relentless assault, I'm like, that sucks for my existing positions. And then I look for opportunities.
Mhm.
Then I love it when an area of the market, it's like when you were flashing through Staples earlier and I
Mhm.
saw Altria at a really high price point. I was like, I miss selling naked puts. I remember like touting Altria when it was down in the 30s, and I was like, I like this. I like naked puts. I like adding here because I liked the dividend yield and the long-term story and understood the price action. And so when things get beat up, I'm like, all right, well, short-term trades, I'm going to hold off, but I start scouting opportunities.
hmm Yeah, and so I do like the correlation to what you're talking about with natural gas here and CRK. As I come back and look at the chart, obviously they're not correlated in the short term. Your belief is the strength in natural gas will eventually provide some profitability for this company and start to make a comeback. So it's not a short term trading idea. You're
No.
watching this as a watch list pick, so that as it comes into support, if we can find something down here, build a higher
Yeah, I
pivot
actually
low,
with the
something along
strength
those lines.
with the weakness in cheaper stocks overall, you're probably going to get to that support level. But if you see that pattern developing like you did in January, if you see a support level form along this classic, that's where I'm going to get really, really, really interested.
Mhm. I think it's fine. Yeah, it's not my kind of play. I think you would know that. You know me well enough to where I'm going to look at a chart like that and say it's not there yet, but you're not saying that it is there yet. You're actually, your analysis is give it some time here, guys. I like the correlation to what natural gas is doing, and I believe that will impact CRK at some point.
Yeah, and what do
And
you? Well, I mean, I know it's not trash, but since we're on UNG, what do you think about UNG's chart? I've been saying the last few weeks on the commodities report, there looked like there was some directional opportunity in UNG for the first time in a long time. From a short-term trading standpoint.
man, I'm a scorned lover.
I know, right? Listen, but
It's
I listen.
CRG.
I understand,
Like that
but
stuff back in 2019. I haven't traded it for almost 2 years now, Mark. I just stopped. When it went parabolic the way that it did, it wiped out that option sellers.com or whatever it was,
shortsellers.com.
shortsellers.com. And then you'll notice that it came back to reality. It's been in a long-term downtrend, and I've just kind of gone away from this product as a cash flow instrument. I used to use it all the time. I mean, at some level, obviously, I would be open to somebody talking about nat gas as a potential ETF play for cash flow, but it's just I've been a scorned lover. I've been avoiding it, finding other areas in the market to trade just because of that for almost 18 months now. Maybe I should be open to looking at it again, but as of this point, I'm not.
No, I mean, I've been covering this, and I mean, UNG. I mean, for so many months in natural gas is like,
Mhm.
eventually there'll be something to see. Eventually there'll be something to see. Eventually there'll be something to see. About 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, on the commodities report, I was like, there could be something to see here, and I've been following it, developing it. And once again, is it the most exciting thing in the world? No, but once again, every trade. I mean, how many things that are down in your portfolio today would you be like, I could use a little less excitement, right?
You don't need exciting everywhere. That is absolutely true. Any other trash picks that you got?
MUX. All right. Now, MUX, McEwen Mining is a silver producer. They do a little bit of gold. They do a little bit of gold. But primarily a silver producer. And silver has been stuck in the mud for what seems like forever.
Mhm.
Not surprised the McEwen. McEwen, and I like you don't have very many cheap silver mining plays. They're very few, because most mining plays, there's a lot of precious metal companies under $5, but very few that are primarily silver. And investing note came out of McEwen today, where they said that their production is expected to increase over the balance of the year and be 20 to 40% greater than 2020. So, and that came out today. That came out this morning when they were giving a quarterly update. I think their actual earnings is in 6 weeks or so, but where they'll report numbers. But they said, listen, we're expected to do about 20 to 40% more in production this year. Now, that is a substantial amount, especially if you're a silver bull like myself. And so I think there are a couple ways to play McEwen. And I don't, and once again, world's the most exciting stock. No, but I think there's opportunities. One, you could have a breakout. I think you have a pretty clear breakout level if resistance starts. Now, that's not going to happen unless silver gets going itself. But once again, much like CRK, man, you got some massive support levels on McEwen going back for a good portion of the whole year. And so, I mean, you got massive support levels. So you have the March lows on COVID, right? But outside of that, I mean, you've held support levels. And if you look at higher lows as a series of ranges, like, because oftentimes from technical analysis, we look at higher lows as, here's a higher low, and then there's a candlestick with a higher low. But if you look at it from a series of ranges, your ranges of support have been slowly building a little bit. I find that very interesting. And so if you're the type of individual that likes to play off support, you got plenty of support zones to help judge, and you also got a resistance area. So McEwen's one of those cheaper stocks I follow. Loved hey, we're going to increase production. Silver prices have been steady. Even if they don't go up, they've been steady, which makes a company like McEwen with increased production potentially representing some potential value if they can hit those production goals. Love the technicals, like the note from it. So McEwen Mining, the other company that I have in this area today.
Yeah, it looks like a position style trade based off of a trigger on the daily chart here at about 1.2. Now, you got a couple of things here, just as I think out loud about the potential pick here, Mark. I do like the characteristic in rising support over time. Yes, I do like that. I do like reversal characteristics here, and I got to get enough time on this intraday to find some of those old pivots. Yeah, we had a tail at 122, but this is non-market hours. You'll notice the lighter gray section here. This was when it was trading non-market hours. I got a little tail here, first hour of the trading day on Thursday. I actually think I would trigger probably just above 120 right here. If I want to give an extra 2 pennies, fine. You've got several obvious targets here. 130 would be one of them. Then the other one's not so obvious, probably all the way up in this 145, 140, 145 range longer term. You love the characteristics of rising support through these consolidations over time. You like the backdrop of what they're talking about with silver production. Mining in general is catching a little bit of juice. Little W breakout in here, Mark. At least I do see this one. I
I
like
think
this one
there's
more
some
than the
very
last one.
interesting things here. I really do.
Mhm.
The last one I have is pick your gold miner. Let's go to AUY. I mean, pick your cheap gold miner. Once again, I think there's opportunity here in gold. Once again, if from a cash flow perspective, in particular, but you're going to have your bumps of directional movement, and so like when I analyze what I do, anything, and whether it is trash picks or more expensive picks or mainstream areas of the market, I'm like, what do I believe in? And sometimes it's just the momentum's overwhelming, right? At the start of the year, pick a stock under $5 didn't matter; they all made you money. Uh, but then when everything isn't working, well,
Mhm.
okay, what in that area is working? And I really do think when you look at the commodity areas, and I could bring up a lot of cheap oil stocks and a lot of cheap gold stocks, that even in the relentless downward pressure, I mean, pull up CDEV. It's not a pick for me this week, but in this downward pressure where small stocks have been getting killed, a lot of these stocks are just basically doing nothing. And they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. They're withstanding that real negativity. I think that's telling. But MUX, S, CRK, and then pick your gold mining stock. AUY is always my favorite because of the option liquidity. But I think there's some opportunity in cheaper commodity plays.
I
Those are
know
the
the way you're going to answer this question. You don't care about the earnings coming up?
not on commodity stocks. I know what the price of gold is, and
Mhm.
every once in a while, there's a surprise, right? You know, they announced something that happened in a mine that the market didn't know, but but I know what the price of oil is. I know what the price of gold is. I know what the price of silver is. And I've known what it's been for the last 3 months, right? And so that's why I don't worry about earnings and commodities like I do everywhere.
as
And
much.
everywhere else, I'm paranoid. Everywhere
Yeah,
like,
sure. Well, you say pick your favorite gold miner down here. I actually was looking at GoRo, a
oh,
little bit,
that's a
Mark.
pretty chart.
I don't know if you saw this. This is another gold
I
miner,
didn't.
Gold Resource Corporation,
Yeah, I
little
know who they are. I
$3
just didn't look
stock.
at it this weekend.
And it's got reversal characteristics. It's stuck its support over the last 3 months, right? I would prefer Yamana longer term just because of the option liquidity, like you talked about. So, I mean, there's a couple of good miners down here in these prices. In fact, out of all of the $5 and under stocks, which we can qualify for this segment. By the way, this segment every Monday, guys, stocks got to be less than $5.
It has to be less than $5.
Less than $5. And so I did think the miners showed me some interest. So AUY, I can see it for sure. I mean, in
No,
fact,
and the thing about it is, you know, with the relentless beating that cheaper stocks have, like I'm really excited for this segment 12 weeks from now, after
mhm,
you've seen classic bottoming patterns and this and
mhm,
that, you know, you just got to be patient and wait for them. Like patience is such a virtue in trading.
it's
You know,
true.
like sometimes there's like, I have more setups than I know what to do with. And other times you're like, all right, I'm gonna let this play out. You know, action junkies, well, become a day trader.
Different animal than swing and
If you're an
position
action
trading.
junkie, become a day trader.
Out of all the ones, let me flash through them one more time. So give me the three symbols again.
CRK,
Okay, I'm a
the
wait on
natural,
this one, but so are you.
MUX,
I can see this one the clearest, although obviously the candle down 3% today. Still got to trigger and confirm.
and then AUY.
Light gold mining in general, I got no problem with a little flag play here. You just got to navigate earnings next week. If that is in your rules, you might want to pick something else. But if it's not a part of what you're doing, like with you, Mark, on gold mining type of companies, commodity companies, that's just the only note to be aware of. So out of all of them, I think MUX for me personally is set up the best out of the three.
No, no, that's what I got for you for trash that makes cash.